Oh.
Ah,
Ooh. It's like a cleanse. Heather.
yes.
This Aquarius season, that full moon in Leo,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, traveling internationally, I can't keep up.
I know. Miranda just got back from Berlin, like
Just got back,
literally,
folks.
like yesterday, like this morning.
Like super technically early this morning, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm living. I'm here. I'm a
Yeah.
little low energy. The folks will probably appreciate it.
Stop. No.
They're gonna be like, thank God he gave us a break.
Oh my God.
But no, it was a beautiful time. And I talked about astrology the entire time I was there.
Yes.
It
Me
came up
always.
organically. It's not my fault.
Right. I mean, as it does, it's
As it
growing in
does.
popularity. Yeah. Tell me about the Leo full moon. So you had
It was
that while you were there.
while I was there, I experienced the full moon in Leo. And so, as you know, Heather, maybe the listeners might not know, but I went to Berlin. Not that you need an excuse or a reason to visit Europe for
Totally.
the first time ever. Not, um, but I got to go due to the opportunity of my short film. She's killing it, which you can watch on YouTube,
Woo!
folks. Thank
Which
you,
you
Heather.
should watch. It's
It's a
amazing.
fun one. It is fun. It's don't be the trailer's spooky, but it's a silly, goofy, spooky, funny short. It's
Miranda's
so
amazing in
funny.
it.
Oh, thank you for Heather, please.
A fearless
Heather, please.
actress.
Oh, thank you for saying that. It is, and it's just so exciting because, as you know, Heather, it was my first like real writing credit or like really putting something out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, stand up, I write all the time, but in this format of like
Right.
a short film and getting to sort of write a role for myself that was
Yeah.
also inspired a lot by stand up. It was a fun way to sort of combine those two worlds and two loves.
Yeah.
Not to get Oscar speech with it. Oh my
No,
God.
no. That was
Um,
very eloquent and
Thank
I
you.
loved that.
I'm like, it's not an art house film, right, Heather? My God, I could never. You better lock me up if I make an art house film, folks. I can't. But we had a blast making it. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. And then the fact that this is our first festival that we heard back from and that we got into, and that it happens to be in Berlin. So it made its European premiere, as did I. It was a blast. It was a dream come true. And the night of the festival was the full moon in Leo. That we like had the showing of it. And
Wow.
at this festival in Berlin, in this festival itself, it's called Final Girls Horror Film Festival, or
Mm-hmm.
Final Girls Horror Fest, I think is like the official. Check it out, folks. Very fun. There's a lot of films you can still like watch online, but it was specifically like an all-female sort of festival too. It was horror movies made by female creators, which
That's
was just
awesome.
even extra exciting
Yeah.
and really such an honor, and just had such a blast. Met in so many incredible amazing filmmakers while we were there, and like that was the part I truly didn't know we were going to be doing that, and or like in a way that it really, we continue to hang out with a couple of these girls, a
Oh,
couple of these
cool.
friends we met throughout our weekend that we were there, which
Mm-hmm.
was just so fun. The first film in our short film block that is shown, we realize this little cutie, Gina, comes through. She's an FSU film grad.
No way.
An FSU film grad. She entered the program like the year after Jamie, Laura, Nicole. And then the year is essentially, I mean, I know we weren't in the film program, but the year
Right.
after we all graduated,
Oh,
Gina enters, and her film is incredible. It's called Chicks. It was such a fun watch, so good. But like, what were the odds that, and she also flew to Berlin and also came out to the festival,
wow.
and we hung out with her. She's actually going to be flying back and spending a couple days in New York. So I
Oh
plans
my
to hang out with her again
God.
when she comes back.
Funny.
Like, just such a funny,
Holy
like,
shit.
what were the odds of like that happening? It was just really such an exciting coincidence. And we genuinely feel like we all made a good friend. And Gina lives in Atlanta, but trying to twist her arm, trying to get her to come move to New York. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was just so I was like, oh my God, y'all, it truly is full moon in Leo. And people are like, well, what do you mean? What does that have to do with the night? And I'm like, just like the spontaneity, like the
Yeah.
chances, like the natural energy and pull of like luck that we all were able to like come out to this festival. We met another
Yeah.
girl who happened to be at the festival who lives like a block away from all of us here in Brooklyn. And she recognized my job where we did a lot of the filming in She's Killing It, which is a comedy venue here in Brooklyn. She recognized it because of how much she's like come through there. And we all had a bunch of mutual friends. And so that was also just another friend we met on this trip that we are going to continue a relationship here with. It was just such a like power punch. I wasn't really expecting, I was so looking forward to mingling with people, but I wasn't expecting that. And then let alone like two real homies to continue to be, plus a handful of other amazing women who just necessarily aren't in the States. But yeah, it was just so like, the spontaneity, the just kind of like everything felt charged and like lucky that night. The way the stars sort of just aligned for us and for us to have that experience, it was just truly magical. And I was like, this is not a coincidence. So this is the full moon in Leo. Have y'all listened to my podcast, Hollywood Horoscopes? But yeah, just kind of a funny, little roundabout to the entire trip as a whole.
I love that. And the themes of like Aquarius and Leo are very present there, I feel like, community, art.
Yep.
Self-expression. Yeah. Meeting like-minded people, all those things. Yes.
And then the art being the thing that like made that the sort of like the center or the compass. Like, what am I trying to say? Like,
the center.
That the center of sort of like us all meet. It was just very, very special. Really exciting. I wasn't expecting that at all. Another girl. Last thing I'll say real quick too about the experience. Another girl had a short film, and it was, when I say a short film, very short, like a one line, like a punch of like
that's fun.
What am I trying to say? Just like the short itself was like the punch of a joke. Yes.
Yeah.
Very funny. And it was like a joke on which is so funny because this is literally something I've thought about before, but like a vampire who doesn't want to like harm humans, so just drinks her own period blood to deal with like the cravings.
God.
Fucking hilarious. Could not have like done a better job at this festival. Like, this festival was like made to show it off. Found out that the girl who made it is an actor who's been in every Harry Potter film, like every single one. She's not like a dominant character, but she's like in the background, and she's been cast in them since like the first one. So like she grew as a background character.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And then like, just like, that was kind of funny too. We shared the stage with her, and like, it was just so funny to find that out. Like, my first little film festival, my first trip to Europe, a big, like, it was so exciting having these really exciting things happening around us all commenting on it, and then being able to like look up and be like reminded of the full moon in Leo during this incredible Aquarius season. Heather, it was just phenomenal. I can't explain it more.
I love that.
I still don't feel like I've articulated it fully.
But
it was magical.
Yeah, no, but you did articulate it well. Yeah. When the Leo full moon was happening for me, I work at a theater, and
you do.
I stayed for the Sondheim concert that was happening that night, and my roommate and very good friend Jake came to watch it with me, and we both I can't speak for him. I can't remember if he cried, but there's been a lot of crying lately, but I just like was crying.
Amazing. You were like just like happy tears, like movement.
Yeah.
Like you were
this
moved.
kind of ties into the subject of the podcast today, but like Jake and I have been on a musical theater kick lately, but specifically like, the feeling inspired by like the profundity of a lot of musical theater and how it just hits at the emotions. Like, it just fucking hits, and like Sondheim just fucking hits, and like, I don't know. I was listening to this woman sing the song from Into the Woods that's about like sometimes
I was just gonna
say in the woods, and
literally
you're
Heather,
never really alone though, and it's like I just weep because like I'm in my Saturn return and there's a lot going on.
There's really a lot happening. That is just so funny that you say that though, because I couldn't agree with you more. And I was just thinking how the last well, the last musical I saw on Broadway recently was Funny Girl, incredible. But the one before that was Into the Woods, and I sobbed like a baby. And it was also, I was like, musical theater does this shit. And I had just lost my grandfather, or like that was like right, like truly, I think I found out that morning, and we already had plans to go. And Sam was like, babe, we don't have to like go to a musical right now. And I was like, I think this is exactly weirdly what I need, because I knew I would cry. Like I knew it would like be so much more of like a heavier hit. Not that I needed that as an excuse to cry, but it was just still, I was like, I think I'm gonna feel the like this musical even more in the state I'm in. And I'm so happy we did go. But I was just gonna say, Into the Woods made me sob like a baby. It was just gorgeous.
So one of the performers who was singing a song from Into the Woods, when she introduced the piece, said that she had just seen that same Broadway production and she cried like a baby. And
oh my God.
Jake and I literally want to go. So Sondheim died like a year ago. And I think that's why they now are doing a revival of Into the Woods and Sweeney Todd. And there's all this.
That makes sense.
So Jake and I really want to go to New York soon to see both of those productions and also
enter the lottery. Yeah. Just keep entering the lottery now. But we were, it was in what's her face? Not what's her face. How disrespectful. But Sarah
Bareilles. I know. I just saw the cast and I was like, wow, why did I not know that it's an all-star cast. There's so many people in it that I like from like growing up being a musical theater nerd.
My little musical theater heart was like, and like I was just so I've really been loving Broadway. And that's so funny that you say that too, Heather, because while we were in Berlin, one of the girls that I traveled with, Jamie, her boyfriend, Jamie just had her birthday, shouts out, because Jamie's an Aquarius, but her boyfriend just got, as like a birthday present to her, knowing that she was going to be in Berlin. I don't know if you've seen the movie Tar with Kate Blanchett.
I want to. I know about it.
I haven't either.
I'm very intrigued.
Yes. Do you know anything like about it? I won't give any spoilers.
I know the general plot. Yeah.
Yes. But Kate Blanchett plays like an orchestra conductor, and a lot of Tar takes place in Berlin at the Philharmonic.
Right. Jake was just telling me this.
Zach, I'm so ashamed I haven't seen it yet, but now I actually weirdly have even more excitement, because it was prefaced to me that the movie is slow. Like truly, it's so funny. Sam almost left because it was moving so slow. He almost left the theater. And then apparently there's like a point to the rhythm, right?
I think
the movie as itself sort of builds like an orchestra. You know, there's a lot more to it. Again, not to spoil it for anyone. I can't spoil it if I wanted to, technically. But Jamie's boyfriend Zach got her and me and Laura, who also joined on the trip, shouts out to the girlies and to Zach. But he got us all tickets to the Philharmonic, and we got to go in Berlin, which was so cool because it was such a it felt touristy, but also not. Like it was just a really beautiful, cool experience. And I was shocked at how moved I was there. And it was such it felt so intimate, and like, it was just gorgeous. And I just it made me, I was like, can I do, I was looking up local, I was like, where can I listen to orchestras in New York? Like when I get back, because I felt like I was meditating. I just felt in my body, but out of my body. And, but no, I totally, obviously as a fellow theater nerd, if anyone can relate to the love of the theater music movement in general. What am I trying to say? I just,
no, I totally get what you mean. Yeah. There's something,
gorgeous. There's nothing like it.
No,
and it's so funny too, Heather, because I feel like, and I know I'll circle this back into astrology, but correct me, I don't want to speak for you, but we came from the I was about to say very similar theater program, the fucking same one. We went to college together, for the fans, for anyone who's not been listening, for anyone who fast forwards to the charts. I'm not trying to I don't think this was an overall FSU theater message. I think it was specifically professors that we had at our time, not to name any names, professors that it's just so funny, who at the time I felt like were really ruining my life and my experience and what I loved about theater, just to get dragged in the Me Too movement later. We digress, folks. not to name names, but like at our theater program, it was almost like beaten out of us to not like musical theater anymore. It was like this really shamed. I don't know if you agree with that, not to speak for you, but I felt really shamed that I liked musical theater, that I like, and just like anything, to me, musical theater was a completely different art form than a regular play. And I loved live theater. There's so much about live performance that's such a big umbrella. Live performance in general, I think I just adore and will always have a love for, no matter what it is. Like the orchestra, I don't necessarily know. I'm like, I don't know what first string or second fiddle, you know, I don't know a lot of like the technicals, but I know it's live performance, and I know I fucking got something from it. And I know it's like live performance is weirdly one of those things that can take me out of my body and keep me in it at the same time. Like there's a presence to it, but also a profoundness to it that makes you think. That's like what I love about it. And I hated that in a theater setting where, to me, just to love, just the pure love and enjoyment of live performance, no matter sort of what that is, everyone has their certain things, but the way it almost felt like we were being taught to really not like it anymore, to not that it's bad theater, that it's low quality, compared to fucking performance art. Don't even get me started. Something that again, for whatever reason, is allowed to be abstract and you're allowed to pull from all these different angles. I find it absurd. You don't think you can get the same from musical theater. It was such a shit message beaten into us that I'm so grateful to like be older now and out of that mindset of like feeling judged for the art I like. It's also what a fucking world to like compete, like to rip apart the arts and to get to say what art matters and doesn't in terms of live theater. Are you kidding? It's live. It's theater. Ugh. Sorry.
I'm
go
totally
on, Heather,
no. I'm totally with you. Totally get what you're saying.
Over.
Totally understand. I feel like that teacher was the best acting teacher I've had, because I did need to hear that, like, to just the importance of just like being real, like being yourself in a character, and like the, you know, just like literally being human and not overacting. I think that was like important. And
absolutely,
it's complicated because there was a lot of issues with this person, but I feel like there was value in that, at least.
Right.
But
no,
totally
I totally
agree.
Hear you. I totally agree with you too.
I felt like embarrassed for, I mean, when I entered college, I was like a hardcore musical theater lover, like hardcore. I still wanted to be in the musical theater program. And I felt the same thing. And then like throughout my career in college, I felt like I just like stopped loving acting as much, and I was like, what is this about? But I like realized over time that it was just like I wasn't attracted to acting in these plays, a lot of which like weren't very inspiring to me, or just very like in realism. And I mean, a lot of musical theater,
and then you started creating your own shit.
Well, thank
like
you.
Towards like junior and senior year. I remember Heather having a huge extreme branch out into, I get what you're saying, and I do. I think this is, and while this person, again, people are complicated, and we're not saying names. I feel like if you know, you know, and if you don't know, it's not important to know. It is just it was so controversy at the time, and in a way that I am happy for a lot of it. Exactly what you said. I think that's really important to recognize, and because this person also could not have beaten it into us more that you cannot sit around waiting for these roles. And I think if correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, a lot of what you're saying is like a lot of these just flattened roles, a lot of roles written by, like, a lot of historic roles for women aren't great. They're very flat. A lot of women, it's so hard to find such dynamic roles for women. So like, no shit, you were like feeling that wall of like, I'm not loving acting as much. I feel like we didn't have a lot that we could love for it, especially as women, when your characters are always being underwritten or underdeveloped. And like, you're, as a woman, there's so much more I feel like you have to bring to a character, especially if it's been written by a man. Like, there's so much more that goes into that. And Heather, you did an amazing job in school of this being beaten into us that you can't wait around for parts. You have to like make them, you create your own parts. Like you can create your own roles. I feel like that was an incredible something we did learn from that program. So I don't want to, again, not everything's all black and white. This is an astrology podcast. So if we're going to bring up the negative, we got to talk about the positive. But that was our program. The fellow students in our program taught me that just as much as the professors too.
Totally.
And our BA program wasn't necessarily rewarded and just handed stages to put our little self projects on. We had to really work, and do it out of apartments. That shit taught me so much. That still applies to me today. But yes, I totally hear you. That and Heather, you were incredible about that, about like writing shit that still mattered to you with your own voice, and then being able to give yourself more substance of a role. Correct me if
no.
Maybe you totally disagree with that.
No. Thank you. I appreciate that. What I was going to say is that I feel like what I realized over time was that like why I loved acting so much to begin with is because it was this space to show big ass emotions. And like musical theater is all about like, let's be over the top. And like
I'm so emotional, I'm singing.
Yes, which is why I think musicals just hit in a different way. It's just like fucking raw emotion, like hitting you immediately. And that's, I think, what I was always attracted to. And then like, you enter this program and you do these plays, like I don't know, that are literally just about like, oh, it's not about the emotion. It's about intellectualizing, the whatever. So
about ripping it apart in a way that it's no longer, I mean, it's not that it's not still art, but there is so much, when you go to school for theater, there's a lot of masculine energy being put into something that to me is so inherently feminine. I think theater is just so naturally inherently feminine in the way that it is about emotion and flow, which is, and then naturally just with like the history and the way of the world, you do just get a lot more male writers. And I find it hysterical that men for so long were like the kings of writing these roles and plays for us, because to me, no wonder with their masculine energy, it's almost like they needed that to tap into their feminine side. Whereas I feel like it's such a feminine art form.
No, I agree.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like the feminine energy, there's flow to it. It's not supposed to be
very
rigid and structured,
intuitive,
and I think yes. And I think while musical theater maybe has more of a more rigid structure compared to something like performance art, there's still so much flow through I just think it's unfair to, first of all, compare the two, but to rip one apart as if it's not art and the other one just gets to not be touched, because that's its whole point, is to be abstract. To me, it's like you're missing the whole thing.
Yes.
But that's just me. And that's why I'm not a theater professor. Maybe I don't have the right eye, but also
everything
I don't think that person's a theater professor anymore either. Just saying. And I don't think maybe they ever needed to be. So and that is on the fucking School of Theater. My God.
Yeah.
If they fucking cared about their BA not to make it about that, but this is, there's so much politics in theater too. And that's like the marketing and more capitalist side of theater. And even Broadway alone is so fucking expensive. It's like you can only be rich and old to like actually afford a ticket at the door, honestly, or like working in tech if you're young. But like it is there's so much politics to theater, which is so frustrating, because the thing itself to me is everything but
so
that
pure. Exactly. Oh, this ties into who we're going to talk about. So
I know.
Fucking
it is
perfectly.
Funny how we got to this.
Yes.
Because I know like, the birth chart that we're really getting into today, but it is just, again, how funny how this conversation really flowed out of us and with us. But what theater itself is, to me, is very Aquarius.
Right. I know.
Like,
I can't agree more. Yeah.
And we've talked about this, how Aquarians are like, they're the theater kids usually.
Yeah,
a lot of them,
I
right?
think so.
We talked about this.
Yeah, it's the
Aquarius
weirdo
really embodies
feeling
like the
a black
performers.
sheep, but wanting this community of weirdos to feel,
and you can't almost express it, and like there's almost this like thing. Theater to me in itself is expressing something bigger than just, that's what the whole point of it is, right? It's like, and when you go to a theater, you're a part of the experience. That's another thing that's so like no theater performance is ever the same, right? The energy is always a little different. Even if it's the exact same show and no one messed up a line, they're two completely different performances when you go. The audience themselves are part of the performance. So that's why it literally changes, because the audiences aren't the same every time. Like there's so much going on. It's so abstract in itself. Theater as a whole. And just, I just think this world of comparing the two is what a waste of fucking time. Or just not even comparing the two, pitting any art form against another one. It's just such a waste of time. How dare you call yourself an artist and shit on another art form?
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah.
Anyways,
and the
that's
funny
my
thing
preachiness
is,
for now. That's my Aquarius for now.
Oh my God.
Just a little preachy.
It's just a little.
It's Aquarius season.
It's Aquarius season. We can preach. Yeah. I was just to say, I don't even know if I've told you this yet, but last thing, it's funny because the big like inspiration I have right now for my next creative project is like a performance art type thing.
But you would do it right.
But embracing the emotions. It's literally like bringing like the insanity of theater and reality TV into that art form. So
Heather, I love, that's so funny that you say that too, because I also like, and I think I've talked to you about this, like moving to New York, I definitely feel more attached to my like, or more connected to my theater roots. And I really missed, like, I love doing stand-up, but it's been so nice to be reminded that that the acting thing is still there, and that there is just theater is a lot more prevalent. And the comedy venue that I work at isn't all just stand-up, which is why I love it. There's other forms of comedy going on, like sketch or even narratives, one-woman shows, like plays, improv, and stand-up characters. Like there's just so much musical comedy. Like there's so much there in a way that I'm constantly surrounded by so much live performance in general. And I think that's also why I'm extra defensive, maybe, and a little preachy right now, is because in my older years, I think I was also, or in my younger years, I was definitely someone who would like maybe feel a little like stand-up's harder than improv. And it just took me a while to get the fuck over that, to really understand that it's like, what a waste of time and energy to compare the two, or to think that you can only be good at one, or to think that you only should concentrate on one. There's so many artists out there who do other things besides just one art. So this, again, it just hurts. What a waste of time for artists, or to pit art against each other. More art. Just that's the sentence stops there. I'm sounding so preachy.
No, you're not. I can't agree more though.
In my recent years, I've really understood that more, and so I get extra defensive of this concept of that one art's better than the other, or however some way carries more weight, or how some art forms are just respected more than others. It's just like, it's art, baby. Like
they all exist for a reason, just like all signs exist for a reason, just
that's
like all
in my Pisces ass, just like I want it all. Let it all exist in harmony.
Let it all exist.
Peace, love,
totally,
art.
Totally.
No, and I'm coming back from Berlin. I'm on an artist kick. I'm like,
I know.
I'm just like in the flow. It was really,
and it's Aquarius season. Hello.
I
just came off of a Leo full moon.
Please. And it was really, it's so funny that you point that out again, Heather. I love what you just pointed out again about Aquarius and how it's such a community, like getting to go to Berlin, which is one of like the fartsiest fucking cities. But again, it's like, it's so nice because like the rent's not expensive. It's like I was in one of the most artsiest cities in the literal world, and it didn't feel pretentious. And there was really something special in that. I can't explain it. And it was like really profound being there during Aquarius season, like of this huge community, meeting fellow filmmakers and female creatives, especially during this very feminine energy time. It felt like having all like the coincidences of the Leo full moon, like you can't make this shit up. You just can't. And it's just, I'm so excited for the birth charts we're going to cover and how it ties into all this today. But I just couldn't be more on the same page with you about live theater in itself and what it means. And how you got to create more of it.
Yeah.
I love that we're returning to our theater roots.
I know, it really, it's and I notice that anytime I'm going through like a hard time, a transition, a challenging emotional time in
Saturn
my life, it
return.
literally, it's like what I turn to. Just like
Mm-hmm.
without even thinking about it consciously,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I need to listen to Legally Blonde this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I need my first love to like get to reground
my
myself. Yep.
safety. Yes.
Yes. That's also so funny, Heather, too. Just while we're here, because I know we're about to move into the charts, but you being the astrology queen of my dreams and of everyone's, honestly. But also, I remember, speaking of fucking FSU theater and how fucked this was, freshman year when we had to go off campus to that middle school that they were using, that like FSU just bought to be like the theater warehouse for props and painting and all that. And we had to drive there.
Everyone. Yeah.
But it was amazing because because we were the only ones with cars, and that's how they divvied up the groups. That's how they divvied up our class based on like, well, who has a car and can drive kids off campus. I just can't believe that was like okay. And then I think the year after us, when we didn't have to do that class anymore, they had like a bus system that like went there, so it was like so much easier.
With the most dangerous intersection. Also,
God, that was brutal and not your fault. That was insane. That really was insane. I mean, we almost all died, but that was also just like what an insane. We shouldn't have been there. We just shouldn't have been there in the first place. But anyways, but like I just also have such fun memories of you. That was a lot of bonding for us, like having to be the drivers and just like and then just that group specifically being just like, what a bunch of a bunch of characters in that little group. I think there was like 4 or 5 of us, but like I just you always playing your music, wanting to play your musical. You were the one who always played the musicals and taught me so many musicals. You're the one who literally showed me Book of Mormon, which I just watched this like past year live. It was so exciting because I've known the soundtrack. You've gotten me into so many soundtracks of musicals I haven't seen.
I love that. I had
no
idea.
Huge, like truly, I'm like, I don't know if you know this is why I'm telling you. And I'm just having all these, I'm not articulating this well because the flashbacks are like coming in so fast. I'm just like remembering us in our little cars and college little babies. But yeah, you're a huge reason I have such an appreciation for musical theater. And you are someone as an artist and as a human that I respect and love so much that I'm like, if Heather's into musicals, I'm into musicals. I don't give a fuck what this professor says, you know? Anyways, yeah, I love that about you. I love that that's your roots. I love that you showed me that world just like you did astrology. And I love this episode already. We're about to have so much fun with this chart.
I know. Holy shit. Oh, I love you so much. That was
I love you so much. I love you so much. And I love the theater.
Yes.
All righty. Should we get into it?
Let's
take
get
a little pause
into
here.
it. Yes.
Maybe we should cut all that out. Just kidding.
That's
write a note. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you for that. I'm ready to go. Ready?
Me too. Yes.
1, 2, 3. It's gonna hit me like mid.
I know.
Recording
You're
this
gonna
and be
remember.
like, oh, this way brought that up. Yeah. But anyways, Heather, you'll have to forgive me. I'm in the flow of Aquarius season, which means I can't shut the fuck up more than usual. And
it's an
with
air sign.
Thank you so much. That is actually funny that you bring that up, Heather, because I was wondering this too, and I feel like you have kind of touched on it, but I want to make sure that I understand it. We're in Aquarius. The sun is in Aquarius currently. We're in Aquarius season. I know that it doesn't necessarily mean that if you are an Aquarius, you're gonna have, maybe it does actually, like an abundance of luck, or like doesn't also necessarily mean you're gonna have a bad time either. But I do feel like a lot of things are more charged. There's just a lot more of a connect. Would you also say that? Well, first of all, would you agree with that? And then B, would you also say that for like the fellow air signs as well? Like, of course, maybe Geminis aren't feeling it, or if you have strong air placements, maybe you're not feeling it as much if it's not Aquarius, but I would imagine there's still sort of a stronger energy than maybe if you don't have a lot of air. Not that you still can't find the energetic charge from those seasons, not what I'm saying, but is that something you would please?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you are the sign of the season, the sun is returning to where your sun is in your natal chart, so it is like an extra charge time. You are feeling that spotlight a little bit more.
Home base.
Yes.
I hear you.
So I'm feeling that. And also, if you are an air sign and it's an air sign season, then the sun is forming a trine to your air sign placements, which is also activating that energy. So it's a harmonious, the trine is a harmonious flow of energy. But yes, it's activating all the air signs in a harmonious way when it's air sign time.
It's just a beautiful thing that, like, a lot of when you really get into the complexities and the layers and peel back a lot of like your own chart and realize where you have so many other placements and so many other signs like kind of going on, it's so fun to be able to find and connect to that in your own chart, especially when you're in maybe obviously like a season that's not in your sun sign. Like, it's just so fun that you're able to, like, there's other things that are pulled on or charging in certain ways. So many things to sort of connect to and look at. It's so intricate and like, what a beautiful thing. And then again, even if you don't have those specifics, there's still something to find and there's still something to connect. Like,
totally.
It's all intertwined.
I know. Yeah.
Bro.
I know. Because you'll just like run into someone at a party and learn their sign and be like, oh my God, I have this knowledge that applies. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. No. Or there's a way it still connects to the self and to the bigger picture at the same time.
Yes.
And that is astrology. Like, that is just literally, I think that's what even people who claim to not believe, it's still so funny to watch that little light go off in their eyes as they're kind of like pretending to not listen to you or
literally all the time. But look at my chart.
They don't believe it, but I don't believe it, but I have 100 million questions about it now.
Right.
Or like, it really is just like, because there's something you get from it. You learn about yourself in a lot of it. Oh my God, I'm too excited. You learn about your own self. You get to apply a lot of things to your own self, learn about yourself in the process. And then, but most importantly, once you sort of, I think when you're a beginner to astrology, that's why it's so important. Like, what's my sun mean? And then you learning there was a moon and a rising was shocking to me. That blew my mind, but I think as a Pisces, I loved, because I was like, of course there's not just one. Right.
Right.
Of course it's not just
Of course it's more complex and nuanced.
My Pisces ass obsesses with that, but because nothing is, and my Pisces ass knows that and that's just how I like annoyingly view life. So that was a treat. Then as we just continue and knowing that I'm still not even fully in touch with all of it, but still learning as I go, and there's so much to learn, it just gets more and more exciting. But it's also, I think, what's most important when you get past the beginner stages of like the selfish reasons of sort of looking into astrology and enjoying about learning about yourself. It's all about yourself in the bigger picture, yourself and how you relate to others, yourself and how you connect to the bigger, your
role within the collective.
It's so scientific because it's fact, and it's all just a bunch of like the history of like, we just know where these things were, obviously, so there is a science to it, but there's so much spirituality to that concept that I just love. And I think the more you study astrology, it's so funny how much it isn't about you and your signs anymore. It really never was. It really, it's all about for the bigger picture. And I think that's a big part of what spirituality sort of is as a whole. It's this idea that it's one big heartbeat, and like the importance of making yourself healthy and being present and like doing the best you can for yourself is so that you can show up in the overall collective or humans. Like that's what, and that's why we're so aligned to this the way sorry, I'm almost done preaching, Heather. God, Aquarius season brings it out of me. Aquarius season's like, and here's another TED talk, bitch. Like, I cannot stop preaching right now. I apologize. But I'm more like, I'm saying this to you, Heather, because I'm like, I know you get it. And I know that you've basically been saying this, but my mind and my body and my soul are like catching up. And you've been saying this shit to me for years, but it's so fun to really be embodying it along with you. And I'm still not fully there. But yes, the way astrology is intricate and you learn about the individual signs because of the bigger collective of astrology as a whole, that's so fucking in alignment with us as human beings. And like, this conscious, like getting on the super subconscious, like getting on one, like I do believe as humans we're all on one like we're all on one frequency and one bigger conscious. And the way that just ties in with astrology, it's again, in the way it just it's too coincidence. It's just too.
It helps you break down the ego the more you get into it too.
God, you're like, and I love breaking the ego.
I'm not so much free will. Like, yes, I have free will, but I have an energy that I'm meant to manifest or to
well forth, and share,
you know? And share,
like, and it's like the individual is just, it's like you can't have a healthy bigger collective without the healthy individual. Like that's why it's so important to know what your passions are, what lights you the fuck up, what brings you joy, because there's no point in being a part of the collective if you're not going to raise its vibration. Like that's why it's like the, God, not to talk about planes more, Heather, but like the oxygen mask, yada yada yada, you got to put it on yourself first before you can help someone else. And there's just like, to tie this in also to what we're talking about, sorry to get back to that, I do like with the person we're mainly talking about today with their birth chart. That's why this is so exciting, because like this person absolutely embodies that as an Aquarius, and how much bigger picture focused they are.
Yes.
And like the way how authentically their own reality got to be the art they expressed. And one of the best things we as a collective in a whole have, like, it's not a, you can't tell.
No, I know.
I'm gonna fall out of my chair.
I like already have goosebumps like before we're talking about this, but
But like as we're talking about this, it's just like this person absolutely is this. So it's an unbelievable sort of like, I don't believe I just come across these thoughts. I do believe it's like it's like messaging and channeling. From like the astrology gods. Like the more I embrace this shit, the more I look into it, the more I'm rewarded. I'm just like,
I know.
And it just, anyways.
No,
please, Heather.
We're all part of a larger thing.
It's just true.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I feel like intimidated by this. I'm dying to talk about this person. What an Aquarius. What a fucking idol of my existence and life. And like bow down to you and everything you make.
Any theater kid.
We are going to discuss the chart of Jonathan Larson. What a icon doesn't even begin to describe. What a genius. What a poet. A poet. What a gift to humanity.
An icon to the theater world, but to humanity as a whole.
To humanity, like, literally.
He did not deserve like his story is unbelievable. And not to make it all about his death, we won't obviously make it all about his death. There's more to it than that, but truly the symbolism and the poetry, even with his death, is unreal. We'll touch on it obviously, but like truly a martyr. Like I don't like
I know a martyr. No, him. Literally.
But like go on, sorry.
So
the Jesus of our time.
My Jesus.
Every theater kid's Jesus.
Okay. So like I just recently, I mean, I've seen Rent a gazillion times, but and I've seen Tick Tick Boom multiple times, but I just recently watched Tick Tick Boom and then Rent like consecutively. And and what is crazy is that in Tick Tick Boom they talk about, you know, how he's turning 30 throughout the narrative of that show. It's all about how he feels this pressure because he's turning 30. It's his Saturn return, and he, you know, there's a whole song about Sondheim achieved so much before he's 30 because he's Capricorn moon, of course. And Jonathan Larson has Mars conjunct Saturn. It's not. But also, okay, Jonathan Larson's a Taurus moon. I'm a Taurus moon. There's also a thing, and being double fixed, having Aquarius and Taurus, there's this essence of like needing to work hard but trust the process, and like things might come slowly, but that's like how your energy works, and like be persistent, and like things don't come all at once for you, but with persistence you'll get there. Which I think, you know, if you watch Tick Tick Boom, you see that theme. And but the crazy thing is, I'll wrap this up. But the crazy thing is that Tick Tick Boom is occurring during the Saturn return, when he's like trying to he really feels this pressure to make a big successful musical, you know, on Broadway.
And also, just to add to that really quick too, Heather, like I feel like this is something we can really relate to as artists ourselves, and like people who are pursuing a career that is not promised, and that like is not it's not an easy, like you go to school for 4 years for this and then you do this. That's not the trajectory. You don't get that privilege. Thank God. Thank God.
I know.
I'm so thankful.
Because fuck a timeline. Yeah.
I'm just so proud of me for sticking to my guns and not choosing a major. Anyway, we digress. Not to make it about that, but because I would have quit that major. My whole point is that I knew I would have wasted my time more had I picked a major that I didn't just like, that didn't make my bones feel alive at the core.
Right.
Even when I did hate that performance art process. But like, and I don't hate, I'm not trying to hate on performance art, but that like the way, I just still think there was a way that could have been taught to us without the shitting on others is my whole point. But as an artist, there is like you have a cutoff. There's this huge fear and pressure to like your 20s and 30s are sort of your successful years. If you don't, there's this idea that if you don't make it, then you never will. So I just wanted to add that too, because I feel like that's something a lot of artists can relate to. And it's a timeline is something I used to be really strict with myself on, and this idea that like if you don't do X, Y, and Z by 25 and this and that by 28, like you're a failure and you're never gonna make it. And just what a bullshit message. I know. What a ridiculous, silly, fucked up message. Anyways, and Jonathan Larson made one of the most profound, most incredible, iconic pieces of musical theater art that was huge, not just for the theater world, but for the world. And did it in a place of thinking that he never would. Just wanted to add that.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Yes. And what is so amazing to me when I was watching Tick Tick Boom recently is that Rent makes it on Broadway, and Jonathan Larson passes away when he
never officially saw
it. Yeah, he never got to see it on Broadway. 35.
Wrote every single word. I know. Wrote every single line of dialogue.
Committed his life to this thing, and the whole piece is about living in the moment and understanding that life is fleeting.
He died from a brain aneurysm, correct?
Heart and aortic aneurysm, which is also so fucking symbolic. That like I feel like Rent is also about living for the heart and like living for love. And but sorry, I just have to get this out.
I just wanted to add that too, because
totally no,
he died of AIDS, to clarify.
He did. I know. It's a lot of people think he died of
heart.
AIDS.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No,
please,
but
please.
The fact that he died at 35, which is when the first Saturn square after the Saturn return happened. So it's the next Saturn cycle. So we have the Saturn return at 28, the next Saturn square, which they say if you didn't achieve it at 28, your next turn is 35. He got the success and also died the same fucking year. Isn't that crazy? Do you have chills?
Yes, because of everything you just said. And also, I know I just made the joke earlier that he's our Jesus. Jesus in the Bible
died at 35.
Oh no. Oh God. Like Jonathan Larson. And then so it's like he died, and then Rent going on Broadway was literally him rising from the dead, and he's been worshipped since.
He lives on.
Holy shit, he does live on. He literally came to Earth, did what he needed to do, and then passed away.
Which as we said is like so poetic in itself, because
oh my God,
if you haven't seen Rent, the message is, measure in love. Life is about living in the moment. Oh, my favorite lot. Like everyone line of that show is poetry and is so
amazing.
profound. It's all so Aquarian. Like literally every line is like, let's think broad and like fuck society. Let's think about the bigger picture here. And there's one line in No Day But Today that's like, I trust yeah, I trust my soul. My only goal is just to be. But before that is also like so. But anyway, that like every time I hear that, I'm like, yes.
It's every line is so symbolic, so poetic. In my drama theater classroom in high school, my drama teacher, like over summer, I would get like community service hours just by like, but I love this because I was a part of the drama club, going through things and cleaning things out, getting things like organized and ready for the next season. And I got to like spend time with my teacher who I had a really close bond with. It was like always sort of like the first, like that month, like before you go to school, teachers like go back before you sort of deal. And one of every year, I like every summer, I basically was adding a new Rent quote like painted onto the wall, like because of how much that like there just was too many quotes to choose from. It was like she tried to put up a quote from like all of her favorite musicals, but like Rent had so many, just because how can you not?
Right?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, no, I
It's
love that.
so incredible that he's an Aquarius and the messaging behind that. I was also going to ask real quick, Heather, does he have any Pisces undertones, or like what's his moon and rising looking like? Did you already say that? I'm sorry.
So I wish I had the rising.
Do we not have it?
Unfortunately, but
we can guess.
There's not Pisces planets. It could be Pisces rising. That would make sense, actually, the way the signs are formatted, like house wise. That would make sense. Would not be surprised. But there is
He gives me Pisces a little.
Right? Yeah, no, that too. Definitely. There's Neptune in Scorpio that is in opposition to the moon, so it's a very pronounced watery placement. And
what do
actually,
we know his
that's
moon?
it. The moon's in Taurus. And
the moon's in Taurus. That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. You said that. That's right.
Yeah. And then
oh my God, what if he's a Pisces rising?
I could see it for sure. I could. Yeah. Too, he's so like spiritual. I mean like yeah.
We've also talked about Aquarius and Pisces sort of like they kind of walk a similar it's no coincidence to me that like that's the air and water sign that are next to each other, especially just like when we talked about the last four element signs being sort of the more bigger picture and like community overall, like third eye view signs a lot. So it just makes sense to me too that Aquarius and Pisces also do have a lot of alignment. So even if he's not Pisces rising, it's still just his Aquarius is enough to carry that. I get Pisces from him. So I was wondering if there was. It wouldn't shock me if he is either.
It wouldn't shock me either, because that would put the Aquarius planets in the 11th house, which makes a lot of sense. And
interesting.
Totally. But
what else? Sorry. What else? What other green flags in that chart?
There's a lot of interesting things. I think that so the fact that Mars and Saturn are tightly conjunct, they're right next to each other, and you know, Saturn is the planet of restriction, feeling like you need to work extra hard at things. And when Mars is attached to it, Mars is like how you get things done. It's the drive, it's how you go about getting what you want. So I feel like that was a challenge. I feel like I see Tick Tick Boom in that Saturn Mars conjunction, where like he really had to become a master of his art form. He felt like there wasn't a lot of payoff as much as he tried, but with a lot of work and persistence, eventually you get there. After the Saturn return, Venus is also conjunct those planets, which means that like when it comes to bringing form to his work, there's that Venusian beauty and art attached to it. And then Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius really needs to communicate a strong Aquarian message, in opposition to Uranus and Leo, which, you know, Uranus is Aquarius's planet. So I think that's really cool too, that there's this
amazing.
And
then Leo's like, it's opposite, correct?
It's opposite. Yes.
Wow.
So he needs to express himself while using those Aquarian. Yeah, it is a battle, but
this is like his conflict a little bit, but
yeah, but also
it kind of works for him.
Yeah, I think, well, with all oppositions, with all conflicts, they're meant to bring about something creative.
Right.
And I feel like something like Rent is the perfect example of like bringing these rebellious sort of fuck society themes into your work.
Love.
Yeah. And then the Taurus moon is so value focused. And I think you see that so hard, like watching Tick Tick Boom and Rent also, because like he's a rebel.
He hits all of his boxes.
Literally.
Like his art, or like his own work, like sort of gives his whole chart away.
Yeah. Totally. I know. I feel such a connection being an Aquarius Taurus moon myself.
I was gonna say,
and like feeling like
not only are you Aquarians too, but your Taurus moon, like, and then if he is Pisces rising, a lot of your Pisces undertones, like, please.
I would hope, yeah.
And then your Leo rising. I mean, please. Oh my God, are you and Jonathan Larson kind of the same?
Yeah. But no, I feel such a connection to the idea of like feeling like I don't feel like an earth sign in many respects, but I do feel like my values are strong in how I feel like fuck society. Like that is like where I am like, I will be stubborn about this. Like I do not want to
as you should be.
Yeah, I do not want to be
like that.
in the past. Like I'm about progress. And so is Jonathan. And then this Neptune in Scorpio, which is an opposition to the moon in Taurus, I think speaks to the poeticism and the ability to like channel the subconscious collective, the collective unconscious and bring these ideas to life in a poetic way.
And doing it again, that authenticness of like, he didn't sugarcoat shit. Like it's a musical. It's a very entertaining, fun musical with like upbeat, very happy messaging with this very dark contrast of people dying of fucking AIDS and the government not giving a shit. And like
literally
it being this really taboo, stigmatized, still kind of is like, but especially at the time of this creation, like being able to like, it's such a popular musical with such dark, complicated subject matter. And like, and very political. That's like, it's genius. It's genius, especially like when you can make something like dark entertaining, especially something politically dark and just like, and then also just like, again, the bigger picture of life dark, like due to like spreading love. There's like this idea that like, but AIDS specifically targeting these groups of people, like, you know, like just all the stigma with it, while it's such an underlying thing of like loving more people too. AIDS itself is kind of the symbolic, you know, because like the way it's transmitted, besides, you know, possibly through like sharing drugs or you know, very, you get what I'm saying?
No,
like
I do.
It's done through sex, like another form of love, an expression of love that has this dark undertone with like this very deadly. I just
I know.
I feel like I never got this out of any theater discussion in any class.
Right? I know.
I've never gotten something like this out of like what I'm getting right now. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's so unbelievable.
It's also really fun. Like I just want to point this out too. It's really been quite fun and very enjoying. Like this episode specifically, I know we're covering mainly we are covering just Jonathan Larson. I totally forgot to mention little Andrew Garfield moments. We'll pop into that. We'll just take a couple minutes because I do want to give a shout out to Andrew Garfield with his little Aquarius moon, but and playing him. I think that that's just kind of sort of a fun connection.
Yeah, that is cool.
But anyways, it just watching you talk about theater and like especially Jonathan Larson and specifically like this event that is like Rent in his life. Event, Jesus, but like specifically this episode, like watching you talk about this and listening to you, like you can hear it, like you can see it, like your passion for this. It's just been really true. This has been such a fun episode for me. I feel like I've been sitting back relaxing. But like
I'm so
there's something about you talking about this. It really shows.
I
could listen to you talk about this all day.
I feel him and his passion
so
and his like his fucking just need to like try to bring humanity forward through art. Like try to fucking shake people. Ugh.
Yes. And real quick too, this is the thing I'll say about like Andrew Garfield. How did you, or I want to ask, how did you like Andrew Garfield's
act?
I loved it too. I thought he was the best part
I
of
think
Tick
he's an
Tick
angel.
Boom.
Yes, for sure. So talented, so good at it.
Good. And then like, it's so funny that he recently got blown up because he knows his Aquarius moon from
I love
that interview. What interview did you say it was again, Heather? I totally forgot the name of it. Sorry.
The interview that he
says that in, like the fake date.
Oh shit. Interview. I don't even know. It was just recently sent to me, but I don't remember
she's British,
exactly what it is.
And it's like a fake date thing.
So I don't know.
Were you the one telling me about that?
I don't think so.
Or maybe,
but
I'm sorry. I think it was Sam right before we started recording.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I had it in my head that you had told me about that. And I'm like, not to put you on the spot, but what'd you just say? Totally putting on the spot because I'm making something up that you just said. But anyway, yes, he goes on like the fake date. It's this British. I'm so sorry. I don't know her name, but she's funny. And it's like you do a fake date thing. And he knew his Aquarius moon. And I find it so funny that he's a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, like, and the way that they are opposites. But then also just like, I thought he played the role so well. I really thought he did a really, really fantastic job of capturing that.
Yeah.
Or just capturing Jonathan Larson, truly.
Yeah. And I feel like
I'm glad to hear you feel the same.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I loved him in it. And I think that the, Leo and Aquarius are on the same axis, dealing with the same themes. Yeah, love is very
they
strong.
Both have that performer
and
like blood.
Totally.
Both,
I
both
feel
of those
like
signs are big performer signs. So funny.
No, absolutely. And I get the sense watching Andrew Garfield that he feels a connection to Jonathan Larson too.
It did feel very special that he was playing the role.
Yeah, and Jonathan Larson, like, even though he's not a Leo with Aquarius moon, he does have that Leo Aquarius opposition in his chart, just like Andrew does in a different form. So that's really cool.
Interesting. Yes. And I know originally when you told me you wanted to cover Jonathan Larson, I flipped out because I was like, oh my God, we should do Andrew Garfield because Andrew Garfield played him and is an Aquarius sun. But I forgot that the reason that video was so popular was because he didn't just know his sun sign. He knew that he was an Aquarius moon. And that's what all the girlies and the boys were all like, oh, who taught this man his moon? Who taught Andrew Garfield his moon? But anyways, I love him. He also kind of gives me, I'm like, there's Pisces energy in there somewhere too. I don't know.
Oh, he has Pisces rising. I'm looking at the chart. Wait, that's amazing.
Oh my God, you're
Andrew
right.
Garfield
I forgot. I think maybe I did know that, but he gives me Pisces. Maybe I knew that. Maybe I didn't.
That's funny.
Anyway,
either way.
But yeah, either way. And again, it's just so I wouldn't be shocked if Jonathan Larson also like, so funny that
it would make sense.
They obviously didn't know each other, but Andrew Garfield playing him is really does it. It's right. It's correct.
Yeah. Totally.
Amazing.
Totally.
Heather, anything? I know. We'll hop back in and cover closing stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine some
we will.
and stuff. But anything else before we move on to the closing about Jonathan Larson? I know we can't. Andrew Garfield, come on the pod.
Yeah, please come on the pod.
Jonathan Larson, you're with us fucking always.
I feel
Jonathan
you
Larson,
every day in my soul. Jupiter and Sag gives exuberance and a larger than life perspective.
Literally wrote every piece of dialogue, music.
Yeah, also the fact that he just created this, like a lot of musicals are like book by this person, lyrics by this person, but that he like created this whole thing. It's all him.
Creator.
And that it's like also a rock musical that is like a trailblazing musical in of itself. Like there were like it created this space for all these other musicals to be like rock musicals. Anyway,
we can talk more about it too. We don't have to stop there, but Heather, this one, I mean, we could make this episode 8 hours.
8 hours, easily.
8 hours, easy. But yes, that's just Jonathan Larson. You're always with us. We love you. I like Rent applies. Like I think about Rent, especially moving to New York. I think about Rent a lot in the sense of like a lot of the quotable lines. They hit me a lot. And it's a soundtrack when I first moved here that I would listen to on my commute and stuff, just because it just felt like that's probably a little cheesy, but I don't give a shit.
Not at all. Not at all.
My little theater major heart loves it. But yeah, I know you relate, Heather. But yeah, listening to
Totally.
musicals as you're bopping around New York City is just like, because every major musical like is on Broadway, so it's always just like there's not a bad musical to listen to when you're in New York City.
Oh, absolutely.
They all
there's
apply.
never
And they apply everywhere else, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you should never feel bad about listening to musical theater in any environment
ever. But it is just funny how moving here absolutely made me. I would have moments, but not like nearly as much in LA of listening to musical theater. But again, I just think being in New York and my Saturn return, like the peak of my Saturn return, really just like reconnecting with my theater roots. It's definitely like I just feel more connected to theater here than I personally did in LA with what I was doing. What I had going on at that time. I'm interested if I was still living. I'm there's like a world where I'm like, if I'd never left LA during the pandemic, there's a part of me that like wonders, would I have gotten, I don't know if I would have ever, there is a part of me that's hopes like you would have made a short film still, like with a different team of people.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like,
I'm sure.
You take yourself everywhere you go, but there is a big part of me that wonders if the theater would have returned as much. But because I do think a big part of my current job, is not that I didn't see theater in LA, but you also like, you work for a theater.
I was going to say, if you continue to hang out with me, you would.
You know what I mean? Like, it's also like, I think it's what I was specifically doing in Los Angeles at the time I was there. But there is a part of me that's like, I think I know that I would have gotten more into theater if I was still living in LA.
Yeah,
too.
I think
it's really a big Saturn return thing more than anything.
Yeah,
and
no,
like
I think
said,
so.
Like, you work for a theater, so naturally you're kind of always on theater brain and inspired by it. It's a beautiful thing. I'm happy to be returning to it.
It's been such an amazing part of my Saturn return journey here. Like really, it's never really left me, but like really,
you've always really stayed rooted in theater, I feel like. But what's so funny is that it's so funny that I feel like, how many times can I say it's so funny? And it's really not that funny. I noticed too, when I listen back to our podcast, Heather, how many things I'll say, I'm like, you really just be adding words that don't really
oh my
God, don't really go with the sentence you're about to say, Miranda. But hey, that's my Gemini moon, bitches.
I trip on my words. It's my Mercury and Pisces.
I be tripping on them. I don't say the right ones at the right times.
No,
I add amazing. Too many.
Oh my God,
love you so much. But no, I stand up. I'm like, that's subconsciously. It's more hitting me. I'm like, that's theater. That's been my focus, like live theater. But it's so funny how there are very different forms of live theater, but I'm like, that's probably why you love that so much. It's like theater you were sort of doing every night. Just without a cast and lines. So, but more recently, like I really, a huge part of theater is collaboration. And I think that's why maybe stand up doesn't always feel like it's theater to me. It's definitely live performance, but you know what I mean? Like, you do end up collaborating with other comedians on the show that you perform with, but in terms of like the rehearsal process, that's all very like, you're on your own. It's a lot more of an alone art. Theater to me screams collaboration.
No, absolutely.
I love returning to that.
It's a good point. Thing. I agree.
Jonathan Larson, God bless. Heather, God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless Pisces us. Queen. God, my Aquarius goddess. What was I about to add? Oh, with that, I was going to say, I know we just had this full moon in Leo. Boy, did we feel it. I went on about that. And I know you were saying too, Heather, you were feeling a little charged. And now we're shifting into, well, I don't know what. I haven't been paying attention.
It's a big week yet again. We are.
Isn't it always?
But
I feel that, sister.
Yeah, this whole year is gonna be pretty big. But yeah, this week is a big one. Basically, I'll try to articulate this the best I can. We have these slow moving planets, right? Like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, all very slow at the end of the. They're farther away from us, so they move slower.
Gotcha.
I was like, how do I say this?
They're more of the outside planets.
Yeah, right. The outer planets. Yeah, they're literally called the outer planets. So Pluto takes like about 240 years to travel around the whole zodiac. Jesus. So obviously it spends like 10 years roughly in a sign. So meanwhile, the sun, the personal planets, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, take about a year to travel across the
So they're
chart.
not called inside planets, they're called personal planets. And then it's outer planets.
Yeah, inner planets, they are referred to as inner planets sometimes, but personal planets, whatever. Either way.
I need the visual.
Totally. Yeah, inner planets. So yeah, they take a year. So there always comes a point in the year where these quick personal planets meet up with the outer planets. You know, the outer planets are kind of stationing in a sign, and the personal planets are moving around the whole zodiac. So we're at that point where Mercury is meeting up with Pluto. The sun is about to meet up with Saturn, and Venus is about to meet up with Neptune. And the sun and Saturn happens next week, actually, like right on my birthday. But this week, I know. This
February
week,
17th, write it down. 15th. 17th. Why did I say 15th? Oh, last minute. Sorry.
You knew it originally.
I did.
Yeah.
I had a glitch.
But yeah, so this week, let me get the exact dates for you all. Mercury is meeting up with Pluto.
Oh my God, Heather, we have like the same phone case. Sorry.
Wait,
that just
I
distracted
actually
me.
think I just recently bought this. I just got
so
a new phone, and I was like inspired by you. I was like, Miranda has that really cute hot pink.
Is it like a jelly one?
Yes,
yours looks like hot pink. Mine almost looks like, I don't know if it's the lighting, but
it might be.
It's so funny. Mine's dirty. I need a new one. Anyway,
I'm obsessed with mine.
I love, and you never lose it. Mine's more of like, because I never see my phone, or I'm always looking for it. I've always put it down somewhere in this bright ass pink thing. Anyway,
I love it. I love it.
I was just distracted. It's cute.
Thank you.
It looks just like mine. It's so cute.
I love it.
Go on.
No, you're not. Okay, yeah. So Mercury is going to join Pluto on February 10th. And
Amazing.
This could be, you know, Pluto's intensity, transformation. Mercury is communication. So there could be, you know, things you just have to communicate that have been like boiling up, or some sort of transformation around how you communicate, what you need to communicate, things like that.
Ooh, I feel that.
Yeah, big energy. Then
that applies.
Then right after that, Mercury enters Aquarius the next day, where communication just flows a little bit more naturally because we have an air. Well, it's not quite an air planet, but Mercury rules Gemini, but it also rules Virgo. But
gotcha.
I tend to equate it more with Gemini. But anyway, Mercury's at home in an air sign, so Mercury's moving into Aquarius on the 11th. And then on February 15th, right around Valentine's Day, Venus joins Neptune in Pisces, and this is like super exalted romantic energy because Neptune is, you know, it's Pisces ruling planet. Venus is already exalted in Pisces. It's the planet of love and values. And when it joins Neptune, it's sort of like that extra spiritual dose of loving feelings. It's like love on that Jesus martyr level.
Amazing. Right around Valentine's Day.
An especially romantic Valentine's Day. This only happens once a year.
That's wild.
Yeah. So big week. And then next week's also a big week. But yeah.
What an exciting time. I've really been enjoying Aquarius season. And it's so funny that we're talking. I mean, I know Valentine's Day is coming up. That's so symbolic too. That's like, you said that happens once a year, but is it?
It's not always. No. Yeah. Like
it changes.
It changes. Yeah. It's always around. Like around this time. But you know, with all the retrogrades and shit, I don't know. It could be that this happens in like March or April. Like it's really kind of special that it's happening like
right around Valentine's Day,
like the day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I just and as I showed you my little heart tattoo, Heather, but also Germany. It was so funny. There was so much love everywhere, like or Berlin specifically. It was so I knew I was gonna get this little like tiny little heart stencil tattoo. But while I was there, but it was so funny leading up to that, how many times I was seeing hearts around the city, and just like love spreading. And it's just such a beautiful thing to hear. And like knowing Valentine's Day is coming up and that we're gearing up for this, like I just, what a beautiful time.
I love that. Yeah.
You gotta lead with the heart, y'all. If Rent taught us anything, if Jonathan Larson taught us, measure in love. That's the episode title. That's the episode title. But yeah, if Jonathan Larson taught us anything,
I know.
Lead with love, measure in love. It's literally, it's love, y'all. Like that's all there is.
Literally.
Period. Sorry, go on, Heather.
It's all that matters. No, that's it. That's it. Measure in love.
What an exciting upcoming week, y'all.
Yeah.
Just lead with love. We love you. I love you, Heather.
I love you so much. This has been
you,
so
Jonathan
fun.
Larson. This one was
this
a really fun one.
I love
my
Peter.
heart.
I love Jonathan Larson. I love you.
Our hearts are really, really. I mean, our hearts are in every episode, but I really feel it in this episode, and just like this time, like for me personally, but also symbolically, just in the bigger picture, it's just like I literally have like my tummy's tickling. Like I got butterflies. Like it's a very exciting, beautiful time. I'm here for it. I really am.
Me too.
Heather. Heather, I don't want to end, but we must.
I don't either.
I'm like, we're gonna hit another 40 minutes. Whoopsie. But we'll be right back here next week.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
All. Yeah, same.
Thank you, listeners. We'll see y'all soon. We love y'all. Spread more love this week and this upcoming before you hear this next episode. Or after you listen to this. Too. Jesus, God. Leading with love. I fall asleep.
Listener rent.
Measure in love. Infinite abundance.
Thank you guys.
Bye. Kisses.